When I was small, I made a painting that looked like this. It was in my primary school art lesson, where we were asked to draw a teapot set. I was always drawn in painting, and this time, after it was finished, I was very satisfied with my art piece and expected to receive a very high score. However, I just got a pass for my painting, and my teacher commented that it was not realistic. It can't function this way. To a 7-year-old girl, this was devastating. Why can't I have my teapot like this? Water flows down, and with the teapot spout positioned this way, water can flow out without any effort. Very intuitive and surely functional. I later realized that this is what happens very often in our society. Creativity is suppressed. If you propose something new and weird to many, you are corrected and you are told that you're wrong. People expect what they regard as normal. In a society in which the majority defines the mainstream, does this mean that in order to be understood, we have to hide the ideas and innovations that are on our minds? We become unfaithful to ourselves when we grow up. At the same time we are accumulating knowledge, we are shaping ourselves, and we are being shaped to fit into society by establishing boundaries around ourselves. We confine our understanding within our respective professional fields, and what is outside does not make much sense to us at all. Especially in a Chinese society where our culture and community influence the way we think strongly. We have many reasons to hesitate expressing new and innovative thoughts. It takes an effort to explain to others something that they are not familiar with. It is easier to compromise than to foster change. Chinese wisdom takes the median, avoids the extremes. Chinese wisdom aims to maintain harmony. Being corrected repeatedly when expressing new ideas leads to resignation. The corporate world, however, and its dictate for economic growth require us to be creative and innovate. That is, to enter into a stage in which control is suspended and thinking about change is fostered. This is one perspective from which my downspout teapot can be appreciated and from which it has its own value. Beyond the school of design, in the larger social and economic setting, how can we send this message across to the majority and prevent design from being a language limited and understandable only to a few? It is not enough to have innovative ideas in one's mind. With relatives, friends, and colleagues with whom we work and with whom we execute ideas, to our customers and to the general public, the need for clear communication and a shared language seems inevitable. Let's consider language as a tool in this aspect that has to be shareable. As a creative tool, it depends on how one looks at it and uses it. Everyone owns this tool, both externally and internally. Can a tool be, at the same time, universal and personal? Is that the same as trying to be normal and trying to make a difference at the same time? Is it possible to be normally different, or different normally? What if everyone on earth would use their own language? Would that be of any value? Would a language that can't communicate be called a language? Likewise, can an idea or a design that makes sense only to one person be called a good design or a good idea? What should be called a good idea or designs? Those less creative but understood and accepted by the majority, or a really creative ideas or designs which only resonate with a few? Which approach should one take? Everyone who has a language, it seems, is given an imperfect tool to express herself, and every tool it has its own limitations. It sets up boundaries to rationalize our out-of-control minds, just to let us appear to make sense in front of others. Can a vast but limited language be used to describe this color? Is it red, pink, orangey red, ruby red, or raspberry red like those in lipstick color palettes? Or can no expression describe this unique color that one perceives? Research from the pool of vocabulary that we learned, that already exists, and coexists with the pool of vocabulary in minds of others, and apply what we find to what we think. Through the expressions offered by language, we classify our original thinking according to something we and others already knew, fitting it into a predefined system. Thus, the essence of what made our thought original is diminished. Thoughts may diverge, but language tends to converge on the already known. Through language, we are forced to impose definitions upon everything. Peter may be referred to a man, a boy, a gentleman, or a guy. But is that enough to describe who Peter is? Even if we try hard to further describe Peter as outgoing, shy, talkative, cool, or selfish, this will only define and classify Peter the person more and more narrowly, according to preconceived criteria. We can never exactly say what we feel and think. Is this just a matter of the degree of differentiation? According to Oxford English Dictionary, we have over 600,000 definitions for English words. But even if we double or triple the number of words we can use, there will still not be enough to describe the variety of possible original thought in one's mind. This leads to the questions of how closely we can express what we have in mind with language. Those 600,000 definitions in English are only a limited catalogue of distilled concepts that are more or less commonly found during a typical lifespan of human being. There are certainly situations in which no single definition can best describe what is to be described, and this in itself offers room for creativity. As new thoughts may not be adequately captured with old words, we shouldn't only take from what language offers already. It's the way in which we use the tool of language that counts. Derived this way, does it mean by mastering the tool of language, learning or creating more vocabulary or creating more beautiful sentences would help closing the gaps and get ideas transmitted exactly to others? The problem is that even if one can control how an idea is expressed, letting one's words follow closely what is on one's own mind, one cannot control how the other listens to it, and then makes sense of it. Surely one hand can't clap. Making the clapping sound takes both hands, and exchanging ideas takes both a speaker and a listener. In a creative conversation, it is worth noting that the receiver makes sense from the message and bounces another one back in reaction, not just to complete the process, but amplified it, including misunderstandings. Realizing this, the common objective to adequately communicate the desired message seems to make no sense.